Hi everyone, and welcome to Learning with GP, where learning is simplified. In today's video, we are going to work and build up our own personal accounting vocabulary, so that next time we are in a class, conversation, or simply reading some financial piece, we feel like a pro. I'm going to cover all your basics such as liability, equity, accrual basis, etc. etc. Let me know in the comments if there are any terms that you don't understand and I haven't covered in this video. I will add them in later videos. In the last video, we talked about what is accounting equation and assets. Today, we are going to continue with it and take a look at the liabilities, equity, income, expenses, income statement, double entry equation, and some bonus terms. As we have a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's get started. Liabilities. So as we all know from the name, they are obligations of the company, which does result in outflow of the cash from the company, but this should ultimately be related to the economic benefits that the company will avail at some point. For example, if we take a loan for our new bakery, so that's a liability, but ultimately it will make us profits when we are established and running. Just like assets, liabilities are also current and non-current. All the long-term loans can be considered as non-current liabilities, whereas issues involving trade payables, also known as creditors, which for our bakery example will mean the amount we have to pay to our flour dealer or imported blueberry dealer, etc. Accruals, which will mean the electricity, etc. bill we have to pay for our bakery. And things like bank overdrafts will be considered as current liabilities. That will cover liability. Now, equity. Going back to our accounting equation, we can easily say that equity is basically assets removing all the liabilities, which in other words is what the owners have invested in the company and is also known as capital ownership. The equity of the owner is subject to change. What do I mean by that? How does that happen? All great questions. One direct way will be that the owners invest more in the company, and so the equity changes. The other way will be, and this is the most common way, which is having profits or loss as the business is conducted. Let's have a look at how can we quantify profit and loss in accounting. So profits occur when our income generated exceeds the expenses, and losses when our expenses exceed the income generated. Let's get further deep and break it down even more. Now, how can we generate income? Income can be generated by selling our goods and services and by other means, such as by getting interest from the bank and so on and so forth. Expenses are our expenditures made to generate that income. So when we are looking for profits and losses for a particular financial period, we won't take all the expenses we made since we started the company, but rather only the expenses that are relevant for the financial period for which the income is being considered. Also, remember that in this case, if you have made an investment in the non-current or fixed asset during this period, don't add the total expense of your investment in the expenses. Remember from our last video, which I have also linked down below, that the costs of non-current or fixed assets are depreciated, and so only the amount that will be paid for this particular period should be included. Now we have two equations. One is our balance statement equation, the basic accounting equation that will be assets minus liabilities equals to equity. Let's call it equation 1. And the other one is income minus expense is equals to profit or loss. That will be equation number 2. On combining these two equations, we can take a look at how the equity changes over the financial period. So let's write it once more. That will be assets minus liabilities equals to equity. And we learned that equity changes as we make profits, loss, or investment by the owner is modified. So keeping that in mind, if we make a profit, then our equity should increase based on our income statement, which should be shown by using our equation 2, that is, income minus expense is equals to profit. So let's give it a try and make our third combined equation reflecting the profit in our equity status. And this will be assets minus liabilities equals to equity plus, in the brackets, income minus expense, which we can easily translate to assets minus liabilities equals to equity plus profit. The plus sign between equity and profit tells us that the equity is incremented by the profits we made. And in case we suffer a loss, then in that case it will be assets minus liabilities equals to equity minus, in the brackets, income minus expense, which we will translate here as assets minus liabilities equals to equity minus loss. Minus sign here will tell us that equity is decremented by the losses we suffered. This equation is referred to as the famous double entry equation. Isn't this super clever and cool? I was really impressed by this cool representation of equity. I hope you are as well. Let me know about it in the comments below. Okay, now that we understand our essential basics, it's time for some bonus terms. Our first bonus term is going concern. This accounting term is used to describe companies which have resources to continue functioning over the foreseeable period without hindrance. So in case a company is not a going concern, that will mean that it is no longer able to function. In other words, its assets have been liquidated. Then we have GAAP, GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. As simple as the name suggests. You might have come across this acronym when reading balance sheets. So that will cover it for today. In the next video, we will talk about some other important terms for your accounting vocabulary. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for building up your accounting vocabulary with me. It's really fun for me to put this together. If you have any questions, other terms, or want further clarification on any of these points, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to share it with someone whom you think can benefit and learn from it. Do subscribe to my channel, we have a ton of learning material here for you. And give me a like. So see you until next time. Bye!